I've got a question for you. We're going to take a little trip back in time. Do you remember the good old days of saving up your allowance for weeks until you finally had enough to grab that brand new, sealed game from the store? The experience of peeling off the plastic wrap, fanning through the full color pages of brilliant artwork in that thick manual, absolutely salivating at the opportunity to pop that disc or cartridge into your console when you got home, admiring the characters on the pages for brief moments as streetlights flashed past, sparking your imagination of what the game was going to be like to play. And forgive me for being weird, but even the smell of that fresh cartridge, the tactile sensation of those glossy manual pages, that memory probably still sticks with you today. Why are we giving that up? Picking something up and truly owning it, that full experience, if you're anything like me, is the most I've ever enjoyed the hobby of gaming. Sure, we had way less options, but we treasured what we did have so much more. And this extends beyond just gaming. It's movies, TV shows, old anime, books, all physical media. Why did we allow companies to convince us that navigating through smart TV menus, subscribing to a monthly service, and doom scroll browsing across several streaming services was better, or somehow more convenient, than just popping in a disc we actually owned of media that we knew we liked? Well, if you are like me, you're sick of it, but trust me, man, there's a better way. I'm going to show you. Let's go. The future of the human race has been imagined and depicted in media in a multitude of different ways over the past few decades, some more optimistic than others. Taking a look at Star Trek as an example, we get a post-scarcity egalitarian society exploring the cosmos. That sounds kinda nice. But if we flip the coin over to the other side, we find the more cyberpunk-inspired future. The final phase of unchecked and unmitigated capitalism, where all power and resources are consolidated into a handful of individuals and corporate entities that rule the world. And the bill for our hubris finally comes due. Humanity's last days, where people no longer hope to change the system, but instead succumb to nihilism and fuse themselves, body and mind, with their own technology and simply persist in hedonism as we fade. Wow, this is getting kinda dark. I have a point, I swear, but quick show of hands. How many of you think we're heading towards the Star Trek future at the moment? Yeah, not seeing a lot of hands up out there. Actually, I can't see any of your hands because the reality is that we are a selfish species, one that wants to be constantly entertained and to have as few barriers between ourselves and our indulgences as possible. And in a free market, the world's largest companies have thrived on exploiting that for profit. They would love nothing more, and have literally stated as much, than to create a world where the masses own nothing. Maximum control, keeping you stuffed full with as much mediocre slop as you'll tolerate so they can farm your attention for ad revenue. And a world of exclusively digital media? That's a corporate wet dream. No overhead for physical product, no manufacturing or distribution, no splitting sales with stores, no logistics of a supply chain, just the cost to license the media and host it on their servers. And even then, when you vote for this with your hard-earned dollars, choosing digital over physical, they immediately try to cheap out and save pennies with shitty subtitles and AI moderation. It's ridiculous, man. The problem is, when you buy digital products, and I'm doing air quotes here, you don't really own them. A lot of people used to buy digital Blu-ray copies of their favorite anime through Funimation. But when Crunchyroll acquired Funimation, shutting them down and merging the two entities together, any content Crunchyroll didn't have was just gone. Users complained, but were quickly reminded that they didn't own the product, only a temporary and revocable license to stream it. You're just leasing digital copies. You don't own it, and they can take it away whenever they want. They can also change it whenever they want. A ton of shows have missing episodes due to inappropriate content. I can decide what's appropriate for me all by myself, thank you. I don't want or need your permission or censorship. And sometimes the version you want just isn't available anymore. Good luck finding a modern version of the OG Star Wars trilogy without all the CGI that they added in later. You literally have to torrent it, or find a dusty old physical copy if you want to watch the original versions in their original state. It's insane, man. Not only that, but if you care even a little bit about quality, especially if you've invested in a nice TV with HDR, or upgraded your audio experience with a soundbar or home theater, you are flushing that investment down the tubes by obliterating your source quality if you're streaming it through a major subscription service. Even if you pay extra for HDR and Dolby Atmos through something like Netflix, that bitrate is drastically lower. Netflix's Dolby Atmos streaming bitrate maxes out at 768 kilobytes per second, whereas a 4K disc outputs up to 8,000 kilobytes per second. We're not talking a little difference here, we're talking a literal order of magnitude in source quality. The company does this to save money and just assumes that you're too stupid to notice, and frankly, it's just extremely intensive to stream that amount of data. But you get the full fat experience with physical media. It's not close, and it should be an immediate deal breaker if you've invested in quality gear. When a game console's online services shut down, the ability to acquire or re-download some games is just gone. Even if you paid money for it, if the server's down, you're out of luck. And it's not a question of if, it's when. No company is going to pay to keep these things available forever when it doesn't make financial sense for them anymore. Have you ever had it where you went to watch one of your favorite shows, only to find that the company didn't re-up their license and it's on another streaming platform now? Or worse, no one picked it up, so it's just gone. My wife and I went to watch The Office years ago, back when we still used her parents' Netflix, back when they allowed you to share it, those greedy bastards, and found that it wasn't there anymore. You now needed to pay for a new subscription to Peacock to watch it, and they try to sell you on it. Oh, but look at all these other shows you can watch if you subscribe to Peacock. Listen, I want to pick what I'm watching, to curate my own library. I don't need an endless wall of garbage to scroll through, or an algorithm to force feed me to keep me watching so the company can report better engagement in corporate meetings to shareholders. The thing is, while these big companies are giant entities with tons of money, the reality is the power really lies with the people. If we say no to this you-own-nothing, subscription-based future and stop handing them our money, they will crumble and fall, and someone else will rise up to meet the market demand. The reasons people give for why digital media is taking over are honestly all bullshit anyway, and we can prove it together. We'll go over them one by one. Let me show you exactly why I think you should consider canceling some of your subscriptions and curating a physical library for yourself and for your family. We're going to do the hard job first, contesting all of the popular reasons people give for abandoning physical media in the first place. Number 1. Space-free, portable libraries. The biggest strike against physical media is often the amount of perceived space that it takes up, and particularly for those averse to physical clutter, I do get where they're coming from. While it does take up some space, please remember that you aren't recreating the endless Netflix scroll library in your home. Instead, you're building a curated, personal archive of hand-picked favorites of any size you prefer. A real library that is meant to be lived in and experienced, instead of a rented access, algorithmic service cluttering your mind with an endless feed of mediocrity. All that does is induce choice paralysis and decision fatigue, such that you just doom scroll on your phone instead of actually watching anything. That's not a good way to recharge after a long day, man. Also, if space is really that huge of a concern for you, stick your discs in a binder and keep the cases in a box somewhere else. Also, consider that maybe we don't need immediate access to so much media that we can't even conceptualize how we would even physically store it. That's a very recent problem, a very TikTok-era way of thinking, and you don't need to live like that. Reason number 2 is frictionless convenience. Now, this is by far the most common reason that I hear, and this one drives me a little nuts. We have reached the point as a society that standing up out of your chair and walking over to a shelf is considered friction. That's just wild to me, man. Perhaps physical media is less instant, but we're talking seconds here. And maybe your fat ass could use a little more friction in your life, eh? Alright, chill out, I'm just messing with you, but that effort in getting up and walking over to your personal curated library leads to significantly more intentional engagement and selections, instead of the passive binging consumption that our society has embraced. When I pull out my copy of Neon Genesis Evangelion, the Platinum Complete Edition I might add, I don't need to worry about internet outages, server maintenance, license or streaming platform changes, or random restrictions that suddenly remove my digital access. I don't need to worry about censorship or missing episodes or paying for a new streaming service because they have the rights now. I get the original version, preserved in its original state, forever. The cost is a spot on my shelf, and the one-time purchase fee on the used market. Now, the real question is, was this whole video just an excuse to show off my Platinum Complete Edition of Ava on my beautiful 32-inch Toshiba CRT? Of course not. Don't be ridiculous. And a quick note for the actually guy that's gracing us with a comment about disc rot in the comments right now because I said it would last forever. You can rip your own physical media and stick it on a hard drive, create backups of that library, and even store it in the cloud, and host your own streaming service through free applications. I'm arguing for the persistence of physical media here, not the complete elimination of digital options in your life. If you have ripped files, you can even burn your own physical discs, even replacing damaged discs from your collection in perpetuity. You could, should you happen to find them online, enhance your library of options by acquiring additional media. Though of course we would only ever do so legally. I would never condone criminal behavior, sir. Come on, man, what do I look like to you?
That's got to be the best
gamer
I've ever seen.
So it would seem.
The third and final reason that I see the most often is the perceived value of the digital libraries. With the huge libraries unlocked behind subscriptions, frequent sales on digital storefronts, and discounted online bundles, digital media can really feel like an incredible value. And you know what? I'm not blind. If you are okay with a potentially temporary license to play or watch specific content, there's a lot of value there. I love Steam, and I have an extensive Steam library. Don't get me twisted here, it may sound like it, but I'm not anti-digital, I'm just pro-physical, and I'm very against a digital-only future. I want to have options. When we're assessing value though, I think we need to be honest with ourselves. How many of those shows gated behind that subscription are you actually going to watch? Maybe a better question, how many do you think you should watch? Think about how much you've paid for your streaming services combined over the last 10 years. Actually do the math. And then think about how much value they've actually added to your life. We have a limited amount of time on this earth, and very important things we can invest our time in. How much value is passively binging content or scrolling through an endless feed really bringing your life? Would it be better if you hand-picked a smaller amount of quality content, some of the best stuff of all time for your particular interests to keep forever, and filled the rest of your time with other high-quality pursuits? I think these are important questions to ask yourself when assessing how you allocate your time, attention, and money. Life is on fast forward, my friends, and you only get one shot at it. One opportunity. You only get part of that lifetime with your spouse. Your kids only grow up one time. Your investment in your faith matters right now. It's probably too deep for this video, but it's just something to think about, man. And by the way, I looked it up since we talked about it earlier, and a year of Peacock, if you want movie access, is $132, $11 a month. And the complete sealed bundle of The Office is like $30. I get the show I want, none of the extra brain-melting algorithms, and 5 years from now I can still watch it, and I'm not out the $700 from the subscription that I forgot to cancel. I can even resell a physical item again if I want to recoup some or all of my cost. If we want to talk about value, I don't know, man, seems pretty clear to me. At the end of the day, while it's a little hard to put into words, there's just something special about actually owning, a curated library of content catered specifically to the interests of you and your family. Games, movies, shows, whatever it is, it's always going to be there when you want it, preserved in its entirety in its original state, with no risk of delisting, platform migration, account login issues, or required internet access. I don't need to sign up to watch them, and I can even browse all the fun extras and special features that aren't available in the streamed version. But I think I've ranted about this long enough. Let me know your thoughts on physical media below and whether or not you agree with some of the points I made today, and maybe make some of your own. What are your reasons for keeping physical media, and why do you think it's important that we keep it around? If you made it this far, I really do appreciate you sticking around. You can like and subscribe if you like this kind of thing. I mostly review old video games, but occasionally I'll rant about something like this. But anyway, I think that's about enough for today. Appreciate you sticking around if you made it this far, and thanks for stopping by.